Hello and welcome to the Humanity of Sales, where purpose meets profit. I am so excited to be with you here today. I have an incredible, heart-centered, beautiful guest for you. But before we get there, I want to share how grateful and excited I am for the last couple of weeks. The amazing people I have had the pleasure of coming in contact with and facilitating their journey in surrounding myself with. I've learned so much about the beauty of what these individual folks are bringing to the table. You know, I'm a big, firm believer in moving from focusing on differences to instead focusing on what unites us, our common bonds. And I've seen that over and over again in the last couple of weeks, that ability to get vulnerable and share those connection points. You know, we think that the experiences that we've had, the challenges we've had are completely unique to us. But when we come to a safe place to share those things, we find that we're all human beings experiencing the humanness of our existence, which is sometimes messy, when we realize that we are not the only ones in the mess, that other people are experiencing the same things. It bonds us, it deepens our connections, and it creates something that is a seed that enables us to grow together and to build those roots and see the blossoms that come from it. I am grateful, grateful, very grateful for all of the people over the last couple of weeks that I've experienced in my keynotes and my retreats, because they all come from that human-centered space. Now, do you know what? I am very excited to introduce our guest today, because that's exactly why I invited her on this show. See, Ashley Balding is incredibly talented. Now, she has been with ALHI, which is Associated Luxury Hotels International, for 22 years now, and she's currently in the role of Chief Sales Officer, and she loves hospitality and leading people to being the best human that they can be. Both personally and professionally. She really does focus on both areas. Faith, family, and career, in that order, are her values. She likes travel, yoga, fashion. She says that they make her tick. She is a lifelong learner and inserts herself into opportunities to give and make the world better. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. She inserts herself into opportunities to give and make the world better. Of course, I had to invite her on the Humanity of Sales, where purpose meets profit. Are you ready? Are you ready for the introduction? Here she comes. So welcome to the Humanity of Sales, where purpose meets profit. Ashley, I'm so excited to have you here and to introduce you to everyone. In the introduction that I did for you, something stands out that I want to start with. So you consider yourself a lifelong learner, and that you insert yourself into opportunities to give and make the world better. To me, that screams Humanity of Sales, where purpose meets profit. So I have to start with that. So tell us what you mean by that.
Well, thank you for having me. It's such a blessing, and I just hope that this conversation is favorable and fruitful for someone. Yeah, I mean, I am every day in my perspective, which of course has been broadened through my 46 years now of life. Is a gift. And so therefore I don't take it lightly. And I wake up with extreme joy and vigor and perseverance and passion to just see how I can show up differently, and how I can think differently and listen differently, and respond differently. And heck, it is not perfect every single day, but to me, and that's of course been brought in through experience in my journey, my perspective is that if you truly do, look at life and every single day as you only get it one time and you approach it with extreme gratefulness, then And if you considered it your last day to live, then why wouldn't you just want to tackle it and learn as much as you can by, being extremely curious, asking questions, seeing the human being differently, and inspiring others?
That's like the perfect when I if I'm like talking to somebody and I'm saying, well, what does this mean to you, humanity of sales or humanity in leadership? That's that's what it's all about. It's
Mhm.
about showing up with that gratitude, with that
Mhm.
ability to listen and be present for another human being. It's you summed it up so beautifully, and that's why you live this, and it's why I invited you on this show so that you can share this perspective with other people. So you did a lovely, concise job, but I want you to elaborate right now when I'm asking you, what does leadership mean to you?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, and if people have seen me speak, they've heard me say this line 1,000 times. To me, leadership is a privilege. It is not a position. And there's so many words that are attached to leadership, whether it's courage and grit, which has two components of passion and perseverance. But to me, life is and leadership is a mission field. And so it is an opportunity again to just see these incredible human beings and inspire them and ignite their soul and to play off their strengths and to just make them ultimately the best that they can be through affirmation and strategies and positive feedback and challenging dialogue and all of the above. That's leadership. It's easy to be mediocre. It's hard to be a leader that is, you know, trying to really use their personal journey to turn, whether it's pain or mistakes into purpose and to change the lives of the human being personally and professionally.
Gosh, I think that that is so important. A lot of times people spend all of this time on what leadership means to the leader, and you immediately shifted to what leadership means to your team and what you're doing for them, and how it's the unique interactions, understanding them and what they need, and how what you're doing as a leader can help empower them to be better and accomplish their goals. Now, sometimes I've heard this, where you want to lift people up and maybe even out of a position, right? Because that's what they need. And so I see that, like, not that you've actually done that, but can you see how that would be sometimes happening where you're lifting people and then they go on and they're not maybe on your team anymore? Has that ever happened?
Yeah, and that to me is exciting. I mean, that's what life
Right?
is all about. Of course you want them to stay on your team as much as possible, but there comes to a point in life where, yeah, you're just pouring into them and you're exactly right. I mean, you nailed it. Leadership is nothing about me. It's all about them. Now, there's certain responsibilities that I take as a leader that I really need to work on for my own personal human being in order to show up the way that they're deserving that I show up as their leader. But it is all about them and it's leaning into them and it is nothing about their weaknesses. That to me, put it on the shelf and don't even take it off. Like it's all about understanding their strengths and then just amping that up even more and more and more. So, yes, if they can either be accelerated within the organization or outside the organization, to me, that is always on my mind, but it is not a motivator of making and putting in that time and effort to make them a better human being.
Mhm.
Because again, it's personal and professional. And if that takes them within the organization or outside the organization, that's still serving to them.
I was wondering, you mentioned that when during leadership, you sometimes will help people through a challenge or a difficult time, and how can they figure out how to work through that and actually even learn from it and grow from it and through it. Has anything that has happened in your life helped to facilitate that perspective for you, or a story with an interaction with a team member that you can think about that applies like that?
Yeah, I mean, criticism to me is a compliment when you get into a leader, the role of a leader. So, from my perspective, forgiveness is a superpower, and I tell my team all the time, it empowers you. Burnt but not bitter. When you forgive somebody, you take your life back. You're no longer a victim. You're free to think. And so, for forgiveness for me is a modern miracle with no miracle medicine with no side effects.
Yeah.
Because if as you advance, you in anything professionally, personally, you will always have some sort of target in your life on your back. There's always going to be somebody triggering you. You're always going to have a high tolerance for discomfort. You're always going to have to challenge people and give them feedback. But if you really take it from a position of, and a perspective that this is all happening for whatever reason, and not hold on to that negativity that can really be life altering for some people. The power of forgiveness in the seat of a leader and even an individual is empowering.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you brought that up because I think it's foundational, but not a lot of people talk about it. So it's important to bring up forgiveness from the standpoint of, our even our small forgivenesses of individual interactions and just, being able to accept people exactly as they are, but the forgiveness of self for
Hmm.
our own, in my mind, that's
Yeah,
that's what screams
even
out to me, is
that.
that being able to forgive ourselves for our humanness and be
Hmm.
able to forgive each other for that. And so then we can kind of come together instead of me versus you, or leader, team member, that we're working together toward a common good, something bigger than either one of us. That's how I see humanity and leadership. And forgiveness plays a really big role in that. I'm so glad you brought it up.
I love that. Yes. And not having the victim mentality when we're having collaborative conversations. Be kind. Yes, at times it can be hard to be kind, but make exceptions, be flexible, bend without breaking, those type of things that are just allow people the freedom to release themselves of whatever they're thinking. So it creates a collaborative community and in turn just elevates an organization and pumps goodness into the culture.
I love that. Now, so when we elevate an organization, and you said pumps goodness into the culture and it extends, it's like it reverberates out into the customers and the community. So I want to come back to that. Please remind me if I forget. But I also want to ask you, because you were talking about flexibility, and you wrote a beautiful article recently, and it has within it adaptability. And you mentioned basketball in your background. Now, I
Mhm.
spend a lot of time connecting the dots between the mindset that athletes, adventurers, peak performers have in common. And adaptability is a big part of it. And, since athlete mindset is in there too, I wanted your perspective on what have you taken from that and how do you apply it with your team members?
Oh my gosh. Well, sports, I mean, ever since a young age, and yes, I was a basketball player, and my coach is still one of my dearest friends to this day. I just actually helped him out, the one and only Palmelia, for his 50th wedding anniversary. And this is my high school coach. But as you grow up as an athlete, or it could be any part of, however you insert in just competitiveness or, feedback or adaptability or change, you have to embrace that with joy or you'll die.
Yes,
You will
yes.
be dead because that will just continue to eat away from you. And so just learning those patterns or learning how to adjust and remain flexible and take feedback. I mean, I still remember him yelling from the sidelines, "You're playing like a bunch of girls." And I'm like, "We are girls." So it's just, things like that that's just settling with me, that really, that it just, when people ask me, did you always envision yourself being a leader? And my fast answer is absolutely, because I have so much admiration for those coaches and what they instilled in me. And I just wanted to be like them for other people.
Mhm.
And yes, it was hard, but you embrace hard and you have a super, as I mentioned before, high tolerance for discomfort. And you take feedback like a champ and you adapt to change. But if you really, approach those in chaos, or what have you with extreme joy, then you have this ability to just, go, be
You
free.
know, your combination is it's really cool. So the combination of discomfort and joy. I think that's really important. Sometimes it's the differences, right? That
Mhm.
when we bring them together, create that magic sweet spot. And so I am a firm believer in becoming uncomfortable in order to achieve our goals. And I have a personal opinion that when people have a difficult time moving forward, it has at least in part to do with not wanting to be uncomfortable anymore. Too many people like comfort a lot, and then they don't make the changes required to take it to the next level. So, one more quick question, and then I want to get back one more on this. So that combination, though, if you're only in discomfort, discomfort, discomfort without the joy, then that's not going to be as beneficial. But you're adding this level of joy in that enables you to actually be happy in the process of change, not necessarily waiting until the end result to be happy. Is that what I'm getting from you?
Yes. And even in conversations with whether it's owners, our members, or my own team, I'll just say, let's joyfully get let's get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And let's like make it joyful, because the reason it's just allowing us to learn off of each other and to share challenges in a way that is not negative. Why does feedback or criticism have to come across as negative? To me, that's the opportunity to be a lifelong learner. And to now, if it's come across as unkind in a way, then that's a whole nother conversation. But we are fully capable of having hard conversations that create incredible discomfort and approaching them with extreme joy.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Okay, so the humanity of sales, where purpose meets profit, we talk
Mhm.
about how we uplift our people, how we exceed the expectations of our customers, and then also how we look beyond profit into contributing to something bigger, the
Mhm.
community, the world, right? So, why does giving back make a better leader? And what are your thoughts on that? Because we've kind of been alluding to it. So I want your specific opinion about that.
Giving back to the human being,
Yeah.
or
In any capacity, it could be the leader giving to the human being of the team member. It could be giving back to the community. It could be looking at, how are we making an impact on something beyond ourselves?
yeah, well, to me, this is just a job. So it is, and yes, we have an incredible responsibility in this role, for our stakeholders and all of those involved. And there's livelihoods, right, attached to it. But it's also, there's so much more to life. And so inserting in certain organizations that we're passionate about, which ALHI is passionate about, for example, our, need for human trafficking, to stop human trafficking, the modern day slavery, is Mike, and he is incredible at leading us at this efforts. And I think he just challenges us to think differently,
Mhm.
and to think outside of just the ALHI and just what you're hired to do in the role for ALHI. And that in turn makes a better we hope, broadens perspectives, which ultimately makes them a better human being.
Mhm.
And then as far as just giving back for me personally, again, I'll go back to the beginning. I approach each day with extreme gratefulness. So if I can continue to broaden my perspective and insert in opportunities that will allow me to expand myself, and just see the human being differently, that in turn is just, I hope, going to allow me to show up differently, which is going to motivate and inspire the team and others.
Yeah. I mean, and it is every interaction. So if you show up with gratitude in every interaction, you're giving back.
Yeah, I mean, I just that's so funny. I just texted my leadership team this morning, and it literally says to the team, you're doing great! Explanation point, because we just heard a message that you should just, text your team, you're doing great. Please remember your words and interactions is an opportunity to make others feel a certain way. Have a great day.
I love
And
that.
it's so true. As a leader, that's the gift that we're given. But that's why you have to constantly be working on yourself to really be intentional about how you're showing up, how you're preparing for conversations,
Mhm.
what questions are you asking them about them to make them feel recognized and feel as though they are being seen as the human being first, attached to their role at the organization. So if you can connect those dots, then the magic happens as a leader from my perspective.
I love that. Connecting the dots is so important. It's
And it
just
takes
doing,
time, intentionality. Like it does take time.
it does. It does. And intentionality, I like that you brought that up because it doesn't just happen. It's not like, oh, we're going to wave a magic wand. We have to seriously focus on it. And I just want to go back because, Ashley, you mentioned Mike, and many of the people here probably know Mike Dominguez, CEO of ALHI. But I'll also add into the show notes. Mike and I did a wonderful podcast together. He came on and I interviewed him for the podcast. So I'll throw
Mhm.
that in the show notes as well.
Awesome.
I love the intentionality in helping to stop human trafficking. That is a passion project for him. So thank you for bringing that up as well.
Absolutely.
So, how do you feel that you are making a difference? Is it mostly in that team stuff, or you also, I think, have this, your mom, you're like, you can talk beyond your team too here. So, what is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I just want to feel that I am when I think of how others perceive me, I want them to see me doing the right thing and acting with reasonable care. I really focus on transparency and authenticity and seeking feedback, being genuine, being clear in my communications. If you're unclear, you're unkind. Operating with extreme grace. Yes, I am a working mother. I am raising two beautiful girls, 10 and 13. So I do the best that I can to show up for myself, them, and my team.
Mhm.
So my team knows that my priorities are faith, family, career in that order.
Mhm.
So that means sometimes a one-on-one will be shifted. That means sometimes that I will drop something. So it's just it's a mindset, and it is which takes time, and it takes surrounding yourself with incredible people like yourself, Heather, who just really have thoughtful conversations, and who you are around is what you put out. What you input in is what you put out. So it's also just really making sure that you are removing what is not worthy,
Mhm.
being intentional with your time, and at the end of the day, if you start your day grateful and you end your day grateful, and then you do kind of a mini scan, which I do every single day, there's going to be holes I can poke in it, but I know that I did the best that I can, and that in turn, I hope is continuing to inspire not only myself, because I think it's important to inspire yourself, but my family and my girls and my husband and my dearest friends, and then also this incredible team that I get to lead day in and day out.
Well, I really am so happy that you are out there leading this with such grace. And, when you speak, it's so authentic because, these are the lessons that we learn throughout our lives. And when we can show up as leaders, taking in those lessons and then sharing them forward, That's what this is all about. That's what this is
Mhm.
all about. So thank you. Thank
100%.
you.
And but we're so far from perfect. So
Oh,
we
please.
all mess up every single day, but
Yeah.
it's just taking that moment of a breath and saying, you know what, I messed up. Let's adjust and go again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I just hope everybody just, at least got one golden nugget.
Oh, I guarantee you there's more than one golden nugget in here. But so thank you so much, Ashley. I appreciate it. And for the rest of you, I can't wait to see you back next week. And make sure that if you loved this episode, that you share it out with someone who could use this message today. The Humanity of Sales, where purpose meets profit.